3:46. Gregor and Struz with you on Memphis Sports Leader TSN 1260. The Gregor Show brought to you by Alberta.ca. And hey, might want to make a wager for a little F1 on the weekend. Who's going to have fastest lap? Who's going to win the race? Man, this is one of the greatest race. When you think about it, the tightness of this battle between Verstappen and Hamilton, they're tied with one race to go. As we get to the race report, brought to you by CanTorque. You can schedule a tour of their headquarters to see how their made in Canada hydraulic wrenches are made, how they outperform other manufacturers, and how CanTorque ports are custom. You can book a tour by calling 780-974-7474. Or I like to say 9 triple Skinner. Well, hey, the hockey fans will remember that one. Colin Livingston joins us once again. And Colin, man, we're talking all F1 today because this whole weekend is it's outstanding to lead up to the hype for this race. Really unlike anything we've seen in a while when you consider how close it is. Do you see one of the two as a favorite in your eyes?
Well, I mean, we go back. I made the call last weekend that I think it's Hamilton's, pending some kind of unforeseen issue. And, unfortunately, thanks to, Max has been really dirty and, wouldn't put it past him to keep pulling his shenanigans, but I think Lewis has it. I think they've got the better car this time of year. They've got the spicy engine that should be able to really flex its muscle at Abu Dhabi. But it's, maybe Red Bull's been holding something back that they're going to slap at the car, for this last race. I mean, it's significant for a number of reasons, because obviously it's the last race of the year and this is where the championship's going to be decided. It's really only the drivers' championship that's left up for grabs. I mean, technically, Red Bull could take the constructors, but it's pretty far back now. It would take an act of God for that to happen. This is the last race of this generation of car. Obviously, we move to a new spec next year. Plus, this will be Honda's last race. After this weekend, they're out. Red Bull takes over the engine program, and it'll be directly badged as a Red Bull engine. So yeah, lots of change here after this weekend.
You talk about Verstappen's hijinks or dirty racing. What does that look like for kind of the casual racing fan?
What's funny is if you base it on what you see on the TV, people are going to have opinions, but, going back a couple races to Brazil, I don't care what anyone says. Max deliberately tried to run Lewis off the track when Lewis tried to pass around the outside. I saw the steering trace and you can see, that, he made 2 deliberate moves to push wide, wasn't really penalized for it. Then last weekend, towards the end of the race, last weekend's race was so eventful. There was so many things that went on, but getting back to the dirty part of it, Max was basically instructed by his team that because of an incident earlier on a restart, he had to swap positions with Lewis and give him the position. As this was happening, Lewis couldn't figure out what was going on, and I think both of them had this heads up thought that whoever was going to be in front at the DRS detection point was really going to have the advantage going to the next straightaway. But as Lewis approached, Max was slowing down in the middle of the track. He didn't pull over and kind of make it obvious that he was going to give that spot away. But as Lewis got close, Max stabbed the brakes. He brake checked him and caused Lewis to drive into the back of the car. This was debatable for a period. The FIA actually released the telemetry from the car and said that Max hit the brakes hard enough to cause a 2.4 G negative load on his car. So he deliberately, when he saw Lewis was that close, I have words in my head that I can't say publicly, but he basically tried to take Lewis out of the race, knowing that if Lewis was out, even if Max was out, that's one less race for them to kind of claw back. What's really, really surprising is that Max only got a 10-second penalty for that, which didn't change the outcome, and it leaves them even on points going to this final weekend. I don't care what Max says in the broadcast, where he can talk about, winning isn't going to change my life, and whether I win or lose, it's not going to affect me. He's driving like his life depends on it, and he's dangerous. I really, really wish that these guys could let their skill determine who's going to win. Let it happen on the track and show that you're a better driver, not that you can do something underhanded.
Is there any recourse for his counterparts, like the other drivers? Is there like a complaint department or something like that to bring that up, or is that poor sportsmanship?
No, you can definitely launch a protest, or what's called a right of review in certain situations. If you're not happy with the judgment, you can protest for sure. But I think the FIA has already given the drivers the talk to say, like, this kind of contact won't be permitted in the final race. Whether they do anything or not is another story. I mean, the FIA has a history of doing stuff like this. I mean, for longstanding fans, especially Canadian fans, going back to 1997 when Jacques Villeneuve won his one and only championship. He was in a title fight with Michael Schumacher. When Villeneuve went to make the move that was going to put him in the position to put Schumacher out, Schumacher deliberately and intentionally turned and tried to crash Villeneuve. Fortunately for Villeneuve, Schumacher hit him on the side pod. If he had caught him on the wheels, it would have been disaster for both of them, but that would have handed Schumacher the title. Notwithstanding the fact that Villeneuve went on to to finish ahead of Schumacher, and I think he actually won the race. I don't actually remember. Schumacher was penalized and disqualified, which took away all the doubt, because it was determined that it was deliberate. The FIA in their ruling from last Sunday said that Max deliberately did that, but they didn't penalize. They gave him, it's not even a slap on the wrist. 10 seconds didn't change his finishing position. It didn't even give him a deterrent to say, don't do this again. It's my hope that behind closed doors, they're sitting these guys down and, specifically sitting Max down and saying, like, anything even close to this, we're not going to hesitate to stop counting your laps. We'll black flag you and you'll take your chance away.
Colin Livingston, breaking down the world of F1. Colin, you're concerned with the safety at Saudi racetrack. Is there, what for you is making it such a dangerous place to compete for the racers and the team?
Well, it's a combination of things. So one, it is extraordinarily fast. I think the average speed in Saudi last weekend was just over 250 kilometers an hour. That's the average speed, not the peak speed. They were hitting something just shy of about 330 kilometers an hour. And for most people, those numbers don't really mean an awful lot. They're just astronomical. But combining that speed with the fact that it's built really as a street circuit, so there's walls really, really tight to to the racing surface. If you make a little mistake, it was catastrophic, and that really led to a lot of the shenanigans that happened on the weekend. Because I want to say this correctly, I'm not 100% sure, but on virtually every restart in the F2 race and the F1 race, there was some kind of contact, some kind of chaos. And that's because drivers don't have anywhere to go. You make a little mistake, you're in the wall, and that led to red flags, and that led to a lot of other things. It's my hope, they put a lot of thought into this track, but it's not really possible to foresee every eventuality. So hopefully, before the series comes back in March next year, I hope they're going to be able to, reconfigure the track, open up some of the corners and move the walls a little bit further out. If you got to watching some of the in-car camera and the eye level camera that they use once in a while, when Lewis was chasing Max, he would get around a corner and you couldn't see him anymore. If a driver's like spun out, loses control or what have you, you're barreling in there again at 250 kilometers an hour average. You can't react, and the marshals won't be able to react fast enough to let you know that there's an incident. So hopefully they can improve some of the view lines. And I have no doubt with the amount of money that's available specifically in Saudi, they'll do everything they can to make it a better show. But there's a lot of really good features of that track. But yeah, I mean, it's only 3 months until the series will return there for the second race of next year. So they don't have a lot of time to kind of scratch their head and figure out what needs to happen.
The one thing before I let you go, I want to talk about was the decision by Red Bull to go with the medium tires over the hard, right? And we saw Toto Wolff when Lewis had asked him in the race, and Toto just shut him right down. He goes, "This is the right decision," right? And he went with the hard, and you saw it near the end. Once he passed him, his tires were way better, and he blew away.
Yeah.
No one's really talking about that decision by Red Bull. Isn't that a major gaffe? Like, what if they would have had better tires? Could they have held on longer? How much of that was a factor? And do you think that was a bad decision by Red Bull?
No, I think it was the only thing that they had because, on the other restart, Lewis destroyed Max on the start from further back. Like his starts on the hard tires on the dirty side of the track were incredible. So the only thing that they could do is try and respond with the softer tire to make sure that it gave Max the best chance to drive away. They were hoping that they had the pace that they could kind of control what was going on and not overload their tires. But realistically, I mean, Lewis was so much faster than Max for the whole race. I don't think they really had another option. If they had put him out on the hard tire, I think it either would have turned into a collision in the corner, or Lewis would have got away and driven away, which could have potentially put Max back in the pack and potentially lost second. Ended up finishing third, fourth, where it would have been chasing going into the final race.
So, Colin, you're taking Lewis this weekend, man. It's going to be. So, who do you think gets pole though for fun? Who's getting the pole on Sunday?
Man, Max has had a really good run at Abu Dhabi. I think the spicy engine might give it to Mercedes. I mean, I don't want to run long, but it's such a crazy weekend in the Middle East because we also have the Rotax Grand Finals in go-karts going on in Bahrain at the same time. So it's going to be a busy combination of TV and computer, watching our three local guys running at Bahrain, as well as unfortunately the last F1 race of the year.
Carl, we'll talk to you next week. We'll see who's the champ. Have a good one.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, guys.
There you go. That's Colin Lippy.